aggressive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream and welcome to all your latest Chelsea news. Big up to every single one that's already locked in. Make sure you're smashing up the like, subscribe if you're new around here. All of that good stuff. Get involved in the chat like always. And there's plenty to dive into, guys. Enzo Maresca'S job is set to be reviewed at the end of the season. Chelsea have got more injury concerns. Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Joao Pedro reportedly all playing through the pain barrier to help the team out right now. We've got news on why Mark Guiu is not being used. We've got the latest on Emmanuel Amiga, and we've also got the latest on why Chelsea didn't sign a striker to replace Nicholas Jackson in the summer. And of course, we will have a little look ahead to the big game against Liverpool. But first things first, guys, just a quick reminder before I say hello to some of you lot in the chat. Make sure you check out Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. Great quality, affordable prices, names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. Make sure you're looking fresh this season. Nike's best trio of kits they've done for us. So make sure you check it out. Use code BLUEBROTHER, 20% off. Link is in the description. Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Right, that's enough about that, chat. Let's get straight into it. Let's see what the people are saying. Poor squad planning. Agreed. Yes, big up. Needs two world-class centre-backs and a very good experienced striker. Oh, I agree. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 1. I'll be there. Big up, brother. Yes, big up, bro. I hope you're doing well. Yes, big up, guys. Big up. Let's start with it then, because for one reason or another, there's been a lot of conversation surrounding Enzo Maresca, the job that he's doing at Chelsea, his future, a section of Chelsea fans not happy with what they're seeing right now. Obviously, we got a win against Benfica on Tuesday night. The performance wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the best game whatsoever, but we kept a clean sheet, which is a positive considering how many goals we've been shipping this season. We didn't really make any mistakes, and we ground out a really important win, which hopefully will give us some confidence after one win in 5 before that. However, people don't like the style of play. People don't like the manager. People don't think he's good enough. People think we should be playing better football. People think this squad is good enough to be doing better than what it is. And Kieran Gill reporting that Enzo Maresca will be reviewed at the end of the season, and a key area of judgment will be whether or not he secures Champions League football again. Chelsea believe this season's squad is better than last season. Now, this is where it's tricky, because the fact that it's not clear and obvious whether the squad's better than last season is a problem in itself. Some people think the squad is better. Others think it's worse. And some think it's kind of, it's the same. There's not really much in it. But that's a bit more of a nuanced point. I think what we can all accept here is not enough has been done to push the team forward after the success that was had in the summer. Key areas weren't addressed, and we are already finding out in the first 6 games of the season that the 2 areas that needed to be addressed are the 2 areas that have caused us the most issues: goalkeeper and centre-half. And there's nothing we can do about that now until January at the earliest. So we've got to buckle in, strap in for the ride, and hope that these players improve, and hope that the manager can find some sort of solution and get these guys playing better football than what they were. Now, if you look at Maresca's record since he's been at Chelsea, the record makes for good reading. I can't lie, and this is where, people need to apply context, and people need to look at what they're unhappy about. Is it purely a stylistic point? Because if you look at Maresca's record as manager since he's been at Chelsea, right? And this is his record: 73 games, 45 wins, 11 draws, 17 losses. So it's 62% win ratio at Chelsea. In the last 12 months, Chelsea are fourth in the Premier League form table since January. Since January 1st, joint fourth. Since March 1st, third, 1 point behind Liverpool. And, you know, he's beaten Luis Enrique, Slot, Mourinho, Pellegrini, Emery, Eddie Howe and whatnot in that time. So it's a strange one for him, because if you're purely looking at it, on his record, that is a very good record. And that doesn't warrant a manager being changed. That doesn't warrant, in my view, people being manager out. Have I been critical of the manager during his time here? Absolutely. Is the manager still learning? Absolutely. Has he made mistakes this season already? Yes, he has. I was fuming with him in the United game, and I was fuming with him in the Brighton game. However, we need to apply context here. And if you're purely manager out because of a stylistic point of view, then I think that's a little bit of a shallow argument, if I'm being really honest, because the record speaks for itself. It's not like he's got an awful record and he shouldn't be here or he doesn't deserve to be here. He's shown last season he overachieved with the squad at his disposal. You know, he picked up 2 trophies, got us back in the Champions League with a team that, you know, in my opinion, in a team that overachieved. For me, we overachieved last season. We had no right to win that Club World Cup, really, if we're being serious. We sort of lucked into it a little bit in terms of how the draw panned out for the tournament, but that performance against PSG was exceptional. I don't think anyone had us down to be in that Club World Cup. I don't think anyone had us down to be doing what we did. But and we deserve credit for that. We deserve credit for that. But look, is anyone in the chat manager out? And if so, please explain your reasoning. Please explain your reasoning as to why you're Maresca out at this point in time. Because I look at it, and I think a lot of people forget as well, by the way, that this is a manager in just his 3rd season of senior coaching. 1 season at Leicester and a 1 season at Chelsea last season. This is his 3rd season as a manager. Like, there's going to be mistakes. He's going to get things wrong. He's going to go through difficult spells, difficult moments. But for a manager who is in his 3rd season as manager to have a 62% win ratio from 73 games in charge, that's pretty good going. That's pretty good going. So people want him out. Don't make sense if he sacked him. What makes you think another manager changes the way? Yeah, but this is the thing, right? I'll be dead honest. This squad is capped at top 3, top 4 best at best. Top 3, top 4 at best. That is what this squad's capped at, in my opinion, because of the recruitment that we did. Someone else comes in, the same problems are gonna be raised again. The same problems are going to be raised again. He wasn't backed, no. And people get confused, right, between when fans say he wasn't backed. He wasn't backed, not in the sense financially. He was backed financially, but he wasn't backed in the sense that he wasn't given a goalkeeper, he wasn't given a centre back, and he wasn't given the appropriate depth at centre forward. If he'd been backed, we would have signed Mike Maignan. We would have maybe signed a centre-back, Mark Gurhey, for example, and we would have signed maybe a centre-forward as well. So Chelsea obviously clearly like to do this review thing at the end of seasons, or, 2 seasons in, they're looking to do a review. By the way, guys, there's only 17 likes on the stream. That is atrocious. Come on, people. Smash that like button. Get these likes up. It's free. It takes seconds. So make sure you run it up. Run it up. Run it up. Come on, guys. Help me out here, people. Smash that like button. It's free and it takes seconds. So please do get the job done. And subscribe if you're new around here as well. Bro, if Maresca went, they shouldn't even be given the opportunity to pick another manager. Shouldn't even be given the opportunity to pick another manager. Absolutely no chance. Absolutely no chance. It's crazy. And I don't know. I look at it and I just think, what what do people want? And people say, oh, this is Chelsea. This is Chelsea. Yes, this is Chelsea, but this is not Chelsea from 20 years ago. This is a new carnation of Chelsea. I mean, I don't even know if that's the right word, but this is a new iteration of Chelsea. And the reality is that there is no way in hell that, given this record and given what happened in the summer, that Maresca should be under more pressure than the sporting directors and the people that have put the squad together. The fact that Chelsea believe that the squad is better than last season is a big concern. That's a big concern in my book. I've said I think the squad is just about better, maybe. We've got more depth in some positions than we had last season. We've got more quantity, but we haven't got quality. That's the thing right now, chat. We haven't got the quality. We've got the quantity, but we don't have the quality. That's the biggest issue. Yes, big up, brother. I hope you're doing well, bro. I hope you're doing well. That's the problem, chat, is that we don't have the quality. Now, when you look at what came in and what went out, right now, we need to be honest with ourselves. We would be in a better position, and this doesn't mean that the players we bought in aren't going to become better than the ones that left. But let's just say it how it is. This is just my opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's cool. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. But we've got to be honest here. Right now, we would be in a better position if we had Madueke, Jackson, Sancho, etc. Not in terms of be higher up the table, but those options right now. If we had those options in the squad, that is better options at this point in time than a Gittins, a Garnacho, a Buonanotte, etc. That's the point that I'm making here, is that the players that went out would have made a bigger contribution so far this season than the ones that came in, because right now at this stage of their careers, they are better players and they are more established. We basically got rid of 4 established professionals and brought in 4 players who aren't ready to play, or aren't ready to play and perform at the level which is required right now. That in itself is a major issue, chat. That in itself is a major issue. There's no escaping that. Absolutely no escaping that. Absolutely no escaping that. But I don't think we can deny that if we had, with Jackson's, Madueke, Sancho's, etc., that we would be in a better position. The depth would be better in terms of there'll be more quality in the depth. That's the reality. No. I'm not disputing that. The point I'm making is that we got rid of those players and brought in worse players at this point in time. And I don't think too many people aren't realizing this. That's not me saying that the players we brought in can't become better than the ones that left. But the reality is that the ones that left are better than the ones that came in at this point in time. So we would be doing better if we still had Jackson, if we had a Madueke, if we had, a Sancho and whatnot, or a Felix. By the way, I wasn't a big Joao Felix fan, but Joao Felix would be offering more than Facundo Buonanotte would be offering. I think we can say that. Whether the manager liked Felix or not, he'd be offering more than a Buonanotte. Madueke would be offering more than a Jamie Gittins, for example. Mate, he is fuming with it. I think it's so obvious that Maresca is pissed with the window. Pissed with the window. Mate, hope you're well. No, I don't believe that to be the case at all. I don't believe that to be the case at all. I've not seen anything that's saying that. I've seen nothing to suggest that that's what's happening. PSG are also far better than us. Yes, we beat them in a one-off game, but let's be real. PSG are way better than us. bro, I hear you, and I think that people, didn't understand. People bigged up the recruitment a lot. The recruitment was made out to be way better than the reality of it. Way better than the reality of it. I 100% agree. I 100% agree with you. And that is really, really poor. That in Champions League game, we're having to play Tyreek George as a number 9 when he was about to be sold on deadline day. It is piss poor. It's piss poor. There's no other way of explaining it. No other way whatsoever. Bro, the problem is they won't. They're not, because they've been given new contracts and they are doing exactly what the club want them to do. They're doing exactly the job that the club want them to do. But I think the biggest issue for me is forget the lack of depth at number 9. Not signing a centre-back and a goalkeeper is what's going to cost us this season. It's what's going to cost us this season. I don't think there's any escaping it. There's no escaping it, in my view. No escaping it whatsoever, chat. Yes, big up. I can't believe we're going to another season. Yeah, bro. Oh, well, we should have expected it. We should have expected it. We should have been prepared for it. Yeah, they do. They do. But the problem is that they're not of the level required. We haven't got the luxury of giving these players time to bed in because we need results now, and the pressure's always on at Chelsea. And you can see someone like a Jamie Gittins is nowhere near the level required right now. Garnacho is not at the level required right now. Abuanote, not at the level required right now. Jarell Hato, not at the level required right now. That's 4 signings I've just reeled off there who aren't at the level that is required right now to get us to where we want to be going. That in itself, chat, is a major problem. A major problem. And one that too many Chelsea fans buried their heads in the sand about in the summer. I had people bigging up the recruitment in the summer. Oh, this is an unbelievable window. 7, 8 out of 10. The reality is that the only decent signing was João Pedro. Jarell Hato plugged a really important hole in his squad and back up to Correa. Good. But Gittins, so far, not looking good. Garnacho needs to improve a lot. Buonanotte needs to improve a lot. Liam Delap, obviously, he's injured. So he got injured after, 3 games? So, we can't really say too much about him. Yes, big up, brother. Everyone knows our squad desperately needs 2 to 3 experienced players. It's not even about experience, right? It's about quality. It's about quality at the highest level. And we simply do not have enough quality in the squad. There's numbers, there's quantity, but there's not quality. There's no quality, chat. And that in itself is a big, big problem. In order to compete, you need to play these players. Yeah, you do need to play the players. And that's why, that's where I've been critical about Maresca. Because whether you like the squad or not, you need to use the players at your disposal. We're seeing now fitness issues with João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo. These guys getting run into the ground because Maresca's not using the squad. You need to make better use of the squad. It's as simple as that, and it's a quality issue at the end of the day. It is a quality issue. Yep, fantastic, wonderful news for us. Yeah, let's wait and see what it's got in store. Bro, Esteval started 4 of the first 6 Premier League games. He absolutely is starting games. He absolutely is starting games. Bro, it's a quality issue, but they've also got a number of experienced players. But it is specifically a quality issue. No, I'm not writing Gittins off after 6 games, but he simply isn't ready to do what we need him to do. He simply is not ready to perform at the level required. And that is a big problem. That is a big problem. We are, you know, but the thing is, we've been a cup team since 2017. Since we last won the league, we've been a cup team. We've not finished higher than 3rd in the league since we last won the title. All we've been for the last 7-8 years is a cup team. We can put together a run of 7-8 games and win a competition, but consistency over a 38 game period, we have not had that for 8 years. We've not had that for 8 years. Yeah, bro. The manager can request, like, the manager has a say in a certain profile, but he doesn't have a say in the player. You know, there'll be a profile requested, and then the directors will choose from a list, basically. And that's the thing. You know, when you come to Chelsea, that you're expected to work with what you're given. Okay, whether people agree with that or not, you are expected to work with what you're given, and that's that. But however, when you win, when you get a taste for winning, you want to drive on. You want to strive for better. You want to see more improvements. And accepting what you're given when what you're given is not good enough becomes much, much harder to do when you've had a taste for success. You know, and this is the point that I'm making, is that at some point this could well come to a head potentially. You know, that's the reality. Yeah, look, I think Gittins will improve. Gittins will improve, but it's just going to be a case of how long is this going to take? How long is it going to take for Gittins to get to the level? And it could take a season. You know, it could easily take a season. Bro, I don't think anyone's disputing that Luis Enrique is a better coach than Enzo Maresca. I don't think anyone's making that argument that Enrique is better, that Enrique is not better than Maresca. Of course he is. He's miles better than Enzo Maresca. And so this is the situation we're in. But do you know what I find funny, right? Is like the managers gets reviewed, right? Where's the review for the sporting directors? Where's the review for the job that they're doing? Where's the review for the work that they're doing? Because the work that they're doing seems to be pretty bang average. The fact that they sit there and think the squad is better, the fact that they've sat there and think that that we didn't need a centre back, that we didn't need a goalkeeper. It's so stupid. I don't understand it. How we can sit there. I mean, seriously, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Bro, that simply isn't true. That simply isn't true. We've got a quality issue. Yes, the manager was poor in the last 2 games after red cards. Absolutely agree. But we're not shit because of poor coaching. We're struggling because the players we've got at our disposal is the quality we've got is not good enough. There is a distinct lack of quality in the squad. And that is why we are struggling, because there's a lack of quality and because we didn't address the key areas which needed addressing. That is why we're struggling. Guys, talking of struggling, we're also struggling with the likes. There's almost 100 in the building, but there's 30 likes. What is going on here, chat? What is going on here? What is going on here? Seriously, guys, get this up to 50 likes at minimum. Come on, people, smash up the likes. Come on, people, run it up. Can you see owners spending in Jan? Well, I hope so. I hope they're going to spend in Jan. I really hope so. Yeah, look, the red cards have been a problem. Lack of discipline's been a problem. Decision making's been a problem. But above all, it's quality. And in some areas, you know, we've had unfortunate injuries. Asugu, that's unfortunate. Look, Glasner's better than Maresca. Of course he is. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. I'm defending the manager because I think he's done a good job since he's been at Chelsea. I've not once said that he's a better manager than Luis Enrique. I've not once said he's a better manager than Oliver Glasner. I don't really know what we're doing here. Yeah, look, I could see the owners spending in January because they're never afraid to spend money. I just concerned on what might actually come in. That's the main thing. Yes, big up, brother. Yeah, hit the likes, people. Yes, big up, bro. Bro, and what do you think Glasner's going to do? What do you think is going to be different under Glasner? Please tell me. Please tell me what will be different under Glasner. I'd love to know. I would really like to know what would be different under Glasner. So please do enlighten me. But anyway, look, Maresca'S going to be reviewed at the end of the season. Champions League football needs to be secured. If we were to miss out on Champions League football, then potentially the manager could be in trouble. But again, it depends on, you know, what we do in terms of what we do in the cups. You know, we missed out on Champions League football, but we won the FA Cup, for example, or we won both domestic cups. Then, you know, for me, that would warrant staying because it would be another 2 trophies. But the answer is I don't really know. No, it's not. And also, by the way, Maresca is not going to... Things would have to get catastrophically worse for Maresca to be sacked mid-season. It would be categorically worse. It would have to be categorically worse for Maresca to get sacked this season. Things would have to take a serious turn. Well, Guiu won't go on loan to Strasbourg because we've already got 3 players on loan there. That would be a sale, in my view. That would be a sale for sure. That would be a sale. Exactly. This is what people don't understand, right? It's the squad balance. The squad balance is piss poor. Piss poor, chat. You know, someone else coming in is not really going to change anything because you're still working with the same players and you've still got the same deficiencies and the same lack of quality in the squad. So bringing someone else in with the same squad is not really making any difference whatsoever. This is what people are not understanding. But look, but you look at let's use Glasner as an example, right? He's a back 3 manager predominantly. I'm not saying he couldn't adapt and play a different system. We're not going to play a back 3 with what we've got. We haven't got 2 quality centre backs, let alone 3. We're simply not a squad that is set up for back 3 football. So I don't understand why people think a back 3 manager coming in is suddenly going to make us loads better, because we're not set up for a back 3. A new manager comes in, you might get an initial upturn in results. You know, no doubt about it. You might get an initial upturn in results, but other than that, we'll be having the same conversations that we're having right now because there'll be a lack of balance and a lack of quality. And this is what I'm speaking about, chat. Lack of balance, lack of quality. And that's got to change. That has got to change. But let's move away from talking about the manager and let's look at some of the injury issues that are occurring right now. Because we know that Cole Palmer's out, Tosin's out, Fofana's out, Chalobah suspended, Andre Santos missing. And now we've had the news that Moises Caicedo, Joao Pedro, and Enzo Fernandez are playing through pain at the moment while nursing injuries. So all those three are nursing injuries. Caicedo's got some sort of pain in his knee, apparently. Enzo Fernandez, obviously something not right there. And Joao Pedro, we know really since the Brentford game, has not looked fit. Has clearly not looked at 100%. It's clearly not clearly not moving freely, clearly looking a bit sluggish, clearly not 100%. Joao Pedro's been left out of the Brazil squad for the upcoming international break, which is massive. Does that mean that he's not going to play against Liverpool? I don't know. But at the same time, we're looking at a situation where if Maresca keeps using these players and not using the squad properly, these guys are going to be set for a significant spell on the sidelines. And that in itself is problematic. That in itself is an issue. And so when we talk about Mark Guiu, I don't rate Mark Guiu. I don't think he's that good. He definitely isn't the answer. However, it's a better answer than Tyreek George up front and running Joao Pedro into the ground that he gets injured and has to miss a number of weeks on the sideline. This is the issue. Caicedo, it's unfortunate that we've not been able to rotate him much because Dario Asugu is out until the new year with a thigh injury. Lavia's not been fit. Andre Santos is out injured as well. So suddenly you've got two players injured with Lavia's fitness problems, and you soon have lost all depth in the midfield. And you find yourself in a position where Enzo and Caicedo are having to play every single game and pretty much all minutes of every game. And that in itself is not good. That is not good. And so this was always going to happen. This was always going to happen, chat. The Club World Cup was always going to see us hit with injury issues at the start of the season. I just didn't expect it to be this quick and for it to be this many. But look at how many injuries PSG have got at the moment as well. You know, and we're gonna see a situation where, because of A, Maresca not using the options that he's got, and B, because of a lack of depth or existing injuries, key players are playing way more than they should be, and they're getting run into the ground, and they themselves are going to get injured. I really hope for the life of me that Enzo Fernandez doesn't go on international duty. I hope for the life of me that Moises Caicedo doesn't go on international duty. But I think we know full well, chat, that these lot are going to be getting on the plane on a long-ass flight to South America, playing 2 games, and then coming back on, like, in the middle of the night on Thursday to play Nottingham Forest on a Saturday lunchtime kickoff. We know that's going to happen. Lavia fully fit yet? I wouldn't say fully fit, but he is fit. He came off the bench against Brighton. He didn't feature against Benfica, even though he was on the bench. But yeah, we need these players back and fast. At this point, might as well use Neto up front. I agree. I would rather have Pedro Neto up front than Tyreek George. I really would rather have that. But look, this is not good. And this is something that, you know, we should have planned for. This was something that we could all see coming, and yet seemingly very little was done. Very little was done about it. This is something that we should have all seen coming. Nicholas Jackson coming back to Chelsea. No, I think there's no chance of that happening. It wasn't last season. It was the season before. It was the Pochettino season, and then eventually he had surgery on the hernia issue that was causing him a lot of problems. With suspensions, injuries, and lack of fitness with our centre-backs, I'm worried about playing the bin dippers this weekend, especially as they will be angry. I think Ekitike might be injured. Liverpool not been playing well. Liverpool haven't been playing well at the moment. Yeah, that was in a World Cup qualifier, and the World Cup qualifiers in South America are over now. So Caicedo is suspended for the first game of the World Cup. Well, look, João Pedro's not in the Brazil squad. He's not been called up. I've not seen Enzo. I don't know if Argentina and Colombia have announced their squads or not yet. But certainly Santos and Pedro, Santos is injured. Pedro playing for the pain. They're both out the Brazil squad. The only Chelsea player in the Brazil squad is Esteval. No, that can't happen. That's not a possibility. Because they're important players in their teams, and these friendlies are important to build up for the World Cup. That's the reality. That's the reality of the situation, chat. That is the reality of said situation. Guys, keep smashing the likes. We're on 45 likes. This really helps me out. YouTube at the moment is shafting everyone's channels, so make sure you run it up. Make sure you run it up, chat. Make sure you run it up. Really important, guys. Really important to run this up, chat. I hope not, mate, but it can't be ruled out. It cannot be ruled out. Yep, that's a bonus, but we're also missing players, and we can also be easily got at, which is a problem. We can also be got at, which is not ideal. Not ideal at all. Yeah, I mean, look, anyone at this point, but yeah, that would be a huge blow. But look, this is not a surprise. This is not a surprise because Maresca'S not using the squad. The quality's not good enough. We already picked up existing injuries to the depth that we did have. And now we are faced with a situation where we're playing players injured. And that only ends one way. And that one way is badly. Badly, badly, badly. That is the problem, chat. That is a big problem that we're facing right now. So let's hope that, I mean, look, surely these three will play against Liverpool. They have to. They absolutely have to. And we just got to hope that nothing happens to them during that game. But surely these three will be playing against Liverpool. But yeah, it's not looking good right now, chat. Is Disasi back with the main squad? No, he's not. I don't know where people have got this from. I don't know where people have heard that. But that absolutely is not the case. That isn't the case, chat. Not the case at all. Yeah, I would expect that as well. I'd be maybe slightly more doubtful over João Pedro, but I expect Enzo and Caicedo to play. With Enzo in the midfield, Caicedo has to do so much defensive work. I'm happy for him to go Madrid and get an actual robust midfielder who can pass. No, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. Yeah, he has to. Esteval's got to start this weekend. I don't think there's any doubts on that. He's got to start this weekend. Bro, I hear you. I think there's, I'll be honest, I think that's almost guaranteed. That sounds very depressing, but I think that is almost guaranteed. That is almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed, I reckon, chat. Which in itself is a major problem. Which in itself is very, very problematic, guys. Very problematic. Maresca'S has to give people a chance before these players' injuries get worse. Yeah, but the problem is, right, if you rest Enzo and Caicedo, who's playing? You bring Romeo Lavia in, but then your other two midfielders are both injured. So what do? Do you play Lavia and Raksaki? Like, this is the problem that we've got, guys. This is the problem we've got. Yeah, look, Shun Moheka is doing really well. I think he's got 15 goals in 10 games this season. I don't understand why he's not getting a look in. I don't understand that. I really don't get it. Bro, I'll be honest, Sterling is so washed. So washed. Sterling and George both offer nothing at the end of the day. Look, João Pedro can play 9, but I agree. He's not an out-and-out 9. He's not an out-and-out 9. But he's having to play there because we've got no one else. That's the reality of the situation. But for me, against Liverpool, I would play Enzo Fernandez more advanced, and I'd have Caicedo and Lavia behind Fernandez with Neto, Esteban, and Pedro as that front three. So a 4-3-3, or it can be a 4-2-3-1 with Caicedo, with Enzo Fernandez pushing further up. But that is the route. That's the route that I'd be looking to go down. Absolutely, that's the route I'd be looking to go down, chat. 100%. But again, we've got to hope for the best, chat. We've got to hope for the best. Well, first job this weekend is to win, but yeah, and that's going to be made easier if we keep 11 men on the pitch, sorry. No, I don't think so, no. No, look, I think Liverpool is struggling right now, but they're still top of the Premier League. That squad they've got is very good, and the players that they've signed, that is going to click and that will come together. That's not going to, in my view, go a whole season being shit. I just personally don't see that, and so I still believe they are not comfortable. I still believe they're the favourites for the Premier League, and I still believe they're the best team in the league. I'll tell you why. It's because the step people don't. I'm not saying you specifically, but people don't realise how big the step up is from academy football to first team football. It's absolutely massive. It's absolutely massive. But who's going to AFCON for Liverpool? I'm pretty sure it's only Mo Salah. And he's not exactly been amazing so far this season. Chat, keep smashing the likes. We're 100 in the building. Guys, why are we only on 49 likes? What's going on here? What's going on here? Get this up, chat. Come on. 49 likes is so poor. It's so poor, guys. It really helps me out, especially when it's when YouTube is shafting people at the moment. So, guys, every single like counts, every single like helps, and every single like boosts the content in the algorithm and gets more eyes on the channel. So, guys, please hit the like button. It's free. I never ask for any money. Let's just get it done, chat. Come on. Unbeaten Palace. Do you think Bastoni would be a bust in the Premier League? No, I don't think so. It would take some an adjustment period, of course, but I don't think he'd be a bust. No. Yeah, look, if they both get injured and it's a legit injury issue, then yeah, look, we are going to be faced with a problem. We're absolutely going to be faced with a problem if that is the case. You know, there's no denying that. There's no denying that whatsoever. Yeah, that's a problem. You know, it's who's going to score the goals and it's who's going to create the chances, because we created barely any opportunities against Benfica. We didn't create an awful lot against Brighton, and well, we created a few chances, but the last few games we've not created very many chances. We've not created many chances. Well, they've got Gakpo, they've got Ekitike, they could play Szoboszlai out there. You know, they've got options. I would say no, purely based on the fact that Romeo Lavia is fit now. So that for me, that negates the need to put Reece in there. It negates the need to put Reece in there, and I'd much rather have Reece at right back. Much rather have Reece at right back. That for me is what I think would be better.
World Cup will become bigger than the Champions League.
Yeah, look, if Lavia is available, you play him. It's that simple. It is that simple. If Lavia is available, play him. So yeah, look, this is a bit of a concerning injury scenario here. Let's hope these guys can get through the game against Liverpool, and let's hope that none of them are going on international duty. We know that Pedro's not, but let's hope that Enzo and Caicedo aren't. Bro, I wouldn't be playing Joao Pedro on the wing. I'd much rather have him in a 10. Much rather have him in a 10. But let's move away from that, and let's talk about the striker situation, because the Athletic have done a piece on Chelsea's sort of shortage at centre forward, and they're saying that Chelsea considered buying a replacement for Jackson in the last 48 hours of the window, but they opted against it because at such a late stage there was not a standout candidate. What I don't understand is, if that was the case, why did you not just bring Emmanuel Amiga to Chelsea, and why did you not send Mark Guy to Strasbourg in return? You know, that would have made a lot more sense. I get it, at a late stage in the window, it's going to be tough at such a short amount of time to find someone to replace Jackson. But the fact that we didn't replace Nicholas Jackson is, yeah, it's a major problem. It's a major problem. And we didn't have the foresight, which is concerning, to sort of see any of these potential issues arising. Or maybe we just chose to ignore them. Maybe we buried our heads in the sand and thought, nah, this won't happen to us. We're going to be fine. We're not going to get injuries. And they probably thought what we had was easily good enough. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't understand. No, of course he hasn't, and purely because the guy's not a striker. Sort of average winger plays centre forward and looks shit. That shouldn't be a surprise here, chat. That should not be a surprise here. That average centre forward, the average winger, looks awful and can't get in the game at centre forward. You know, that's mental. I don't get that. It's so obvious that's the thing. So obvious. Yeah, I agree. No one else seems to have two. Why we've got two is beyond me. I've got absolutely no idea why there are two sporting directors. I can't see any other club who have got two sporting directors. Like, why are there two? I almost get the feeling at Chelsea. Well, I don't get the feeling. I think I know is that there's too many cooks. There's too many opinions. There's too many people that need to sign stuff off. And that is a problem. That is a problem. Too many people need to sign stuff up. I think there's too many people that there's obviously going to be, you know, disagreements. There's going to be disagreements. And so, yeah, that is something that needs to change, but it's not going to. I've got absolutely no idea. Bro, Esteval's not going to play as a false nine. That simply isn't going to happen. That simply isn't going to happen. But look, a lot of this is problematic, chat. A lot of this is problematic. There's no escaping that fact. No escaping the fact that a lot of this is problematic. Majorly problematic. Yeah, that was a ridiculous story. Ivan Toney on loan to Chelsea in January. Yeah, I don't know how people get away with making stuff up. It's crazy. I mean, that's just never happening. That's just never happening. Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I wouldn't expect Delap back until December, really. I wouldn't expect Liam Delap to come back until, yeah, I reckon around December, by the time he's got back to training and got himself back up to match fitness. Mate, I was saying it all summer, and people were telling me I was losing the plot. People were telling me I was miles off with it. People were saying that, oh, no other teams have 3 strikers, this and that. We've had 1 striker injury, and we're playing Tyreek George up front, but we didn't need 3 strikers. Oh, look how that's working out for us. Look how that is currently working out for us. And it's not working out well. It's not working out well. And it's not working out well at all, chat. But it's the way it goes, unfortunately. Sometimes we've got to learn the hard way. Oh, yeah, he'll definitely be on the list somewhere. He 100% is on the list somewhere. He's not. That's absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. That's been debunked very quickly. That isn't the case. That isn't the case. Vlahovic is not affordable. You've seen Vlahovic's wages. Like, that's just a no-go. That is just an instant no-go, as is all this spamming. That's just an instant no-go. But look, we are paying the price. We're not signing a replacement for Jackson. You know, Chelsea obviously had Amiga lined up. They thought about it. I don't get why we didn't go to it. I don't get why we didn't bring Amiga in January. Sorry, in the summer. And you know, reports will say, or people will say, that he'd benefit more from another season of experience at Strasbourg. And look, I understand that. You know, I get that. You know, I absolutely get us. But at the same time, it's like, we're struggling here. Yes, it would have been, in an ideal situation, it would be more beneficial for him to get minutes at Strasbourg. I hear it. But it's not great, is it? It's not great. Because now we're in a situation where João Pedro is not fit, and we've got a Mark Guy who's not fancied at all, and we've got Tyreek George, who, respectfully, is not a striker and is not good enough. So it's all looking a bit peak right now for us. It's all looking a bit peak for us at this point in time. But we've only got ourselves to blame, though. We've only got ourselves to blame. That's the reality here. Only ourselves to blame, chat. Because we should have foreseen that this was going to happen. We should have realised that there was a high chance of something like this happening. No, Jackson wasn't. The thing is, Jackson wasn't replaced. That's the issue here. Jackson wasn't replaced. No. I agree. But the reason it's clear as day. The reason he's not being used is because Chelsea want to sell him in January or send him on loan somewhere else. And if he plays for us, then that can't happen. But then once the lap comes back, Guy's basically getting no minutes whatsoever. So the whole recalling of Mark Guy, I understand why we did it, but it's literally making no sense. It is literally making no sense, chat. I can't get my head around it. It's making no sense at all. It just doesn't add up. A lot of stuff we're doing right now doesn't make sense. Does not make sense, and I don't know. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it is that so much we do makes no sense. I mean, Buonanotte again, another one. Yeah, just again. So, well, I don't think the club knew he wouldn't play, but they recalled him because it was better than having no one. But the fact that he's not been used, we may as well have had no one. It would have made more sense to have no one because Mark Guy's not being used, so we might as well have had no one. But we'll see. We'll see. We've got Carabao Cup coming up towards the end of the month. If he plays in that, then if he doesn't play in that Wolves game in the Carabao, then I think we know for certain he's not playing. He's not playing. I mean, seriously. I mean, are we fallen this far where we're sort of saying, "Oh, even Calvert-Lewin would have done"? I mean, Jesus Christ, we're in the depths, aren't we? We're in the trenches up front. We are seriously in the trenches. Seriously in the trenches, chat. Serious trenches right now in centre forward. Thank God Joao Pedro is not going on the international break. That's all I can say. Mate, trust me, mate. I've been trying to understand some of the things that we do, and I'm not understanding them. I'm not understanding them. I'll be so honest. I'm not understanding them. They bought him back as an option. That's why. Now, it wouldn't be a swap because Amiga's already been signed. It would be a sale to Strasbourg and we'd bring Amiga in January. Amiga's already signed a 7-year contract at Chelsea on a pre-agreement for 2026. But injuries aren't unpredictable, though. Especially this season. We knew with the Club World Cup exploits that fitness was going to be an issue and we were going to pick up more injuries at the start of the season than in a normal season. Like, you could have easily foreseen this. Maybe not to this extent, but to say that, oh, injuries are unpredictable based on what happened in the summer is that's a cop-out. That's such a, that's letting the directors off the hook big time. Everyone knew we were going to have injury issues at the start of the season. Everybody knew that we needed to stock up and bring in quality players, and we didn't do that. We always, every season, you're going to get injuries, especially off the back of less than 3 weeks break and no pre-season. And that's why that is unacceptable. What happened in the summer, unacceptable. And unacceptable might seem strong, chat. It might seem strong, but that's the way that I see it. I view it as unacceptable. I view it as unacceptable. Look, I get it. I get it that players need time, but the problem is that one, we don't have the time to give them, and secondly, they're not of the level required right now. And this is what happens when you constantly start again with young players every summer. That's the problem. That is the problem, chat, is that we're constantly starting again every summer. Constantly starting again. And it's all right at a lesser club to give these players time to bed them in and to give them a number of starts in a row until they find their feet. At Chelsea, we're not in a luxury position to be doing that. We're not in a luxury position to be doing that. And so this is why we've got problems. This is why we've got problems, chat. So we will see. We will see. Well, yeah, I don't know. He's not ready right now. He's honestly not ready right now. Well, Sancho would have been here if he didn't prioritize money over football. We offered Sancho a very good contract considering what he contributed last season, and he chose to turn it down. He chose to stick with the money, and that's fine. That's his choice. But Sancho would have been here if he hadn't prioritized money over football. He was only ever signed to flip because there was a €6 million release clause, and you're guaranteed to double or treble your money on him. That was the most obvious flip investment. The most obvious flip investment going. No, that's not true. Aston Villa might be contributing that, and Man United are paying the rest. He's still getting his full Man United contract at Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are paying a percentage of his wages. He's still getting his full money from Man United. We offered him 180 grand a week contract, which is more than generous given his contributions, and he said no. So I'm just being honest about that. That's what he said. He said no to it. He said no to it. Sure, but I wasn't arguing that. My point was he's getting his full money. He's getting his full money. Yep, and it's all self-inflicted. It's all self-inflicted because we overspent and we broke the rules, and now we're going to have to sell some of them. Chelsea, look, there's definitely a long-standing interest in Adam Wharton. There's definitely a long-standing interest. He's definitely on the list of targets. But again, for that to happen, one of Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo, or Santos is going to need to leave the football club. And I don't know who that's going to be or if that's going to happen. But again, Wharton will have a lot of offers, and I think he'll probably have better offers than Chelsea, if I'm being brutally honest. I think he'll probably have better offers than Chelsea. So, yeah, we're in a situation where it's going to be tough to convince him to join, if indeed we even do, seriously go for him. It is going to be tough to convince him to join. Really tough. But let's see, chat. Let's see. We will see. It will be tough to get him to join. I'm not miserable. I'm just sharing my opinions on the situation right now. If you think the squad's great and all is fine, that's cool. But it's clear that the poor investment in the summer is already costing us, and a lack of foresight to plan properly is costing us as well. That's just the reality of the situation. Yeah, I don't know why someone has said that. That's a mad one. Absolutely no idea why that's been said. Pretty strange. Pretty strange. Yeah, look, I think that's bro, Wharton will have better offers in terms of playing first team football and in terms of other clubs that will be in for him and in terms of the right next step for his career. He absolutely will have better offers. If you honestly think that Chelsea is going to be the best offer that Adam Wharton's going to receive in the summer, that's next level delusion. And that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. If you think Benfica wouldn't have won if they had more quality in the final third, then again, heads in the sky on that one. It's just simply not true. He can probably go wherever he wants to go. If Real Madrid want him, he could go there. If Manchester City want him, he can go there. I wouldn't rule out him going to Man United. No, I think there's scenarios where all three of those could possibly leave. Most likely, I'd maybe say Lavia because of the fitness issues, but then again, it might be difficult to get rid of him for those same reasons. I could easily see one of those three being sold in the summer. If you're gonna sign a Wharton, you have to make space. You have to make space for Wharton, and and there'll have to be a big midfield sale. But he simply wouldn't play here, or he would play, but he wouldn't play enough for his liking. He wouldn't play enough for his liking. He'd get minutes at Chelsea, but he wouldn't be a first team guarantee. In terms of playing regular football, yes, especially if Glasner goes there, he may well look to join him. But Wharton would be the mainstay in that Man United midfield and a key player and a star man. He wouldn't be that at Chelsea because there'd be no guarantees that he'd be starting every week. There'd be no guarantees he'd be starting every week. Bro, we've got one. We've got Jarell Hato. Jarell Hato's the backup left back. We don't need a backup left back. We definitely don't. But yes, but they have to sell someone. They have to sell someone, and it would be a big sale. It would be a big sale in the midfield. But someone's got to be sold. But it would be a big sale. And that's the thing. That's the thing. It's got to be a big sale. And I don't know if there's going to be a big sale. So, but I mean, I've discussed this before. That I think there'll be a major sale next summer. Whether it's at centre-back or whether it's in central midfield. I think there'll be a major sale next summer. Because again, we're going to have to sell players that are part of the Champions League squad to register new signings for the Champions League next season under these UEFA restrictions. So there's going to be one. There's going to be one. So, yeah. Mate, I hope that we do. I hope we do. I don't know why you'd question whether you like it or not, as if I'd want the team to lose, which is just utterly mental. I want us to win every game we play. And I absolutely hope that we do beat Liverpool. I absolutely hope we do. Yeah, look, I could see that happening. He's someone that you'd get decent money for. You'd get decent money for Enzo Fernandez as well, but you would probably make a loss on him. Whereas with Andre Santos, you paid what, 13.5 million? You're definitely making money on him. You're definitely making money on Andre Santos. So yeah, it's an interesting one, chat. It's an interesting one. Guys, we're 8 subscribers away, by the way, from 18.6. Let's get those final 8 subscribers knocked off, or get as many of them knocked off as possible. So make sure you're smashing that subscribe button and smash the likes as well. We're just under 100 in the building right now. But let's get another 8 likes. Let's get this up to 80 likes, chat. Smash the like button. It really, really helps out people. I'm playing no number 10 at all. Well, I would say someone like Fofana, for example, that would constitute a major sale at centre back. I've got absolutely no idea. I've got absolutely no idea why. But agendas have got an agenda for some people, haven't they? But I don't know what he needs to keep doing to prove that he's a top quality player. I just don't get it. Nah, what I would say, in fairness to this ownership, they've not once sold a top first team star. They've not sold any of the top dogs. Even though there's been opportunities to. There was opportunities to sell Colwell. I'm sure there were opportunities to sell others as well. And in fairness, they haven't sold a top player. They haven't sold a top player in their defence. Yeah, a top player's not been sold in their defence. So, yeah. We'll see. No, yeah, but we're talking about the top stars in the first team. Like Colwell's, like Palmer's, like Fernandez's, like Caicedo's, etc. I wouldn't say Madueke fell into the top bracket. I agree. I don't think anyone's disputing that. I think it's obvious that at best that was a sideways move. I think that's obvious. I think that's absolutely obvious. No, I don't think they will sell Palmer. I really don't. Unless he states that he wants to leave, I don't think they'll sell Palmer. But yeah, we'll see, chat. We'll see. We absolutely will see. In what way is Nkunku the biggest loss? I'm struggling there. What way is Nkunku the biggest loss? Because I'm confused. Bro, Gittins was one of them that always had potential, but right now he's not that great. And that's exactly what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing, is that he's not of the level right now. He's not of the level right now. And that's a concern. That is a concern, not of the required level. But again, Enzo doesn't need to get back. If you have like a Santos and Caicedo behind him, or a Caicedo and Lavia behind him, then that's not as important, because there's that protection there. No, what we could have done with is just signing better quality replacements. That's the main crux of this, is that I haven't got an issue with any of the players that left. It's that we didn't sign better quality replacements, and that in itself is the problem. That in itself is the problem, chat. Better quality replacements weren't signed. And that's why we're struggling. Not because we let the players go, but because we didn't bring better quality ones in. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, but bro, admittedly, Garnacho and Gittins have been here, what, 5 minutes? They've played they only played a few games. So I don't think, of course, he offered more because he was here for longer. So, I don't think we can say that someone who was here for 2 seasons has offered more than someone that's been here 5, 6 games. That as an argument doesn't really stack up. Yeah, they did. But let's be honest. Do we miss Chukwuemeka? I don't think so. Do we miss Renato Vega? I mean, funnily enough, he probably would have been getting minutes at centre back, but he chose to leave. Like, Vega wanted to leave. That's what people need to realise. Vega wanted to leave. The Chukwuemeka situation, it was made clear that, he wasn't part of the plans, and that's fine. I don't see a major issue with that. He wasn't part of the plans, and not everyone's going to make it here. Not everyone's going to make it here. I mean, centre-back pairing, I think, will be Badiashile and Hato. And then midfield, Enzo and Caicedo. I'll probably go Caicedo, Lavia, then Enzo, Neto, Esteval, Joao Pedro. That's probably what I'd go with. But it just feels like with Chelsea, we're constantly talking about next season. Oh, Quender's coming. Oh, so-and-so's coming. Oh, next season, these guys will all be better. Like, there's no focus on the now. What about now? What about being better right now? And that simply seems to be getting overlooked. That is getting overlooked, and it's annoying. Look, we are far away from competing in the Premier League because the recruitment's not been good enough. That's the reality that we face right now. The recruitment's not good enough, and that's why we're not going to compete. I'd love to be wrong on that, but we're not going to compete this season. We're not going to compete next season. Sorry, this season. So that's it. Bro, it does seem to be Netflix. You're constantly waiting for the next season. It's always the next season. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that, but it is like that. And so we're going to have to accept that that's the case right now. We did win trophies, but we're talking about getting back to winning Premier Leagues, winning a Champions League again. We need to do better. We need to find ourselves in a better situation. We need to find ourselves in a better situation. So yeah, we'll see how this is going to work out. We'll see how this pans out this season. But this here is as I've been saying, this is the problem summed up perfectly. We've got quantity, nowhere near enough quality. Nowhere near enough quality in the team. And that's where we're going to fall down. That's where we're going to fall down. A lack of quality in the squad and failure to address the key areas. That's the reality. But I wouldn't say they're not interested. I just think it's obviously a priority for far later down the line, which is a bit strange. Look, things take time and stuff. I get it, but 3 years in, we don't seem to be any closer to winning the league than 3 years ago, for example. So yeah, we are in problems, chat. We are in problems. There's no denying that. But if we can get, yes, big up, brother, big up. Do you think Gusto is good enough, providing we play him to his strengths? Absolutely, he's more than good enough for a for a role in the squad. I absolutely agree on that. I do agree on that. But big up to all the Chelsea fans out in Norway. So yeah, that's where we're at, chat. That is where we are at. Let's see if there's any other news before rounding out. Anything else that has come out? Not really. Right. No, obviously not. Why on earth would a member of Chelsea staff instruct players to get sent off? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What is that about? What is that about, chat? I mean, seriously. I'm confused. I'm confused. But guys, I am going to round this one out now. Big up to everyone who's locked in this afternoon. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out. Get this as close to 100 likes as we can. Please hit the subscribe button on your way out as well. I'll be on with Don Hussam at 2 o'clock, guys. So make sure you head over to the channel, his channel, and show him some love. Big up to everyone, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. I'll be back with more content possibly later on today, if not definitely tomorrow, for more in-depth Liverpool chat. So big up, guys. Love for the support as always. Smash the likes on your way out. Subscribe if you're new around here. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and up the Chelsea as always. Love.